It's vinegar from cheese.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
Everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Hey, that's me.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share. That's right. We are grunting here today on the SinCast.
Hold something.
So it's been a while, guys, and I know it's hard for you guys to generate anger about things. But tell us, anybody have anything that they're pissed off about this week?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I'm as mad as hell!
You've never seen me very upset.
Lord Jesus! Lord Jesus!
I gotta go first because mine is the most important, I promise.
Okay, all right.
Fucking Mountain Dew.
Right?
Now, I know, Chris, you historically have been a fan of the Baja Blast.
Yes.
Because I remember that was for the longest time, you could only get that at Taco Bell. I remember I emailed you when I read an article that said they were going to put it in stores for a limited time. But that made sense because Taco Bell and Mountain Dew, PepsiCo were at least at one point, maybe still are, the same company.
Yum brands.
Even though I didn't enjoy the fact that I could only get that at Taco Bell, I understood the synergy of it, if you will, brand-wise. Well, now Mountain Dew has a new raspberry, blackberry flavor. It's called Fuck Jeremy. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, yeah. Fuck Jeremy. I remember seeing
You can only get it at Applebee's.
Applebee's?
Applebee's.
Now,
I haven't been to an Applebee's in probably 20-some years. I don't know anyone that goes to Applebee's, and every Applebee's that I'm aware of in the greater Jeremy metro area have closed and been turned into one-off Mexican restaurants.
One-off?
My desire to try new Mountain Dew flavors is very high. But my desire to avoid Applebee's is higher. And therefore, I will not be able to try this awesome-sounding raspberry, blackberry Mountain Dew flavor ever. But even if I did, even if I said, fuck it, I'll go to Applebee's, I'll order whatever the fuck they serve these days, I have to trust that their fucking Pepsi machine has been bricked properly. And I don't. I don't trust fountain drinks in most places, and I kind of know what to look for to kind of see how well it's cleaned.
Like color and viscosity and stuff
No,
like
I'm
that?
talking about the machine itself, because you break those machines down in part at the end of each night and soak the pieces, and if you don't do that, you get black gunk all around, and you can tell if a machine is serviced regularly by the local employees, but you usually need like a soft drink person to come in and properly calibrate the machine so you get the right amount of carbonation and syrup. I just don't trust this. I don't trust the Applebee's Pepsi machines to give me the right Mountain Dew, raspberry, blackberry, I'm not going to look up the real name of the flavor experience. And they need to bottle that shit, and I will buy the 12-pack. But as it is, they're not going to get any of my money, and neither is Applebee's, and your cross promotion can eat my balls.
Look, I obviously don't blame you for not going to Applebee's to get this drink, but you gotta feel like a restaurant like that does clean their little nozzle things off. I mean, Regal did.
Well, yes,
Carmike
Regal did. Regal did sometimes. Like, even there were concession stands that just weren't used for 15 months at a time and then would suddenly be opened up for a big movie. I don't know that. I mean, yes, it was Regal policy to clean those machines and take them apart and soak the parts but even there were even certain Pepsi machines at the Hollywood that I would avoid, certain dispensers that I didn't feel like were calibrated as well. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Applebee's is going to have one or two of those.
I would imagine Applebee's Mountain Dew is at least sending somebody in, maybe, to help them. My point is, I don't want to go to Applebee's just to get a new Mountain Dew flavor.
That's obviously like the best point there.
It's bad enough that I can't buy, like, I usually can't buy Code Red or Livewire in the store. I have to go to like a Quickie Mart to get those. Like,
is Code Red still made?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now the only time I've been inside a gas station in the last 3 years was because I was looking for Code Red because my wife likes it and I found it. But they don't carry it at the supermarket. I'm just saying,
dude, you could they have steaks at Applebee's. They have.
I'm not going to eat a fucking steak at Applebee's.
They have riblets.
Riblets. That's not a food. That's a coined phrase.
It's
eat a steak at Applebee's.
It's the flank off of the St. Louis cut. The riblets, and they got fries. They got pasta.
Oh, they have fries.
That
changes everything.
They have a double crunch shrimp.
Oh, double crunch. Double the crunch.
They have a quesadilla. I'm just saying you have as many options at Applebee's as you do Logan's or like fucking what other Kmart type of Red Robin.
I draw the line at Chili's. I'll go to Chili's.
That's the Mendoza line is the Chili's, like, and you consider Applebee's to be below Chili's.
Below it, like the sea is beneath Mount Rainier. I don't know why that analogy came out.
Where does Ruby Tuesday?
Okay, so I don't have any of those around here. I used to like Ruby Tuesdays more than Applebee's, but they completely changed their menu where they exist. Haven't been. Can't speak to it.
But Applebee's is at the bottom of the barrel? As
far
as these
no. There's certainly
go?
no. There's worse than that. I think. God, this is going to get me so much hate. I think O'Charlie's is worse. I think Outback is about the same place.
Outback is equivalent to Applebee's?
How is it not?
I think there's
neither one of them can make a decent steak.
Well, I mean, I'm not ordering steak if I'm going to either.
That's what I'm saying. You get that fucking, you get the whatever they call their bloomin' onion. You drink some beer. You go home thinking you actually had good food, but you're not going to get a steak there.
No,
I won't get a steak at Chili's, even though I'll go there.
Man,
so Chili's is all right, huh?
Tell you what, in college, I tore up some Chili's, man.
That skillet queso is God's breast milk.
I've never had it.
It's bright orange with bits of ground beef in it that may be super processed, and it tastes like joy. I'm telling you, that's the only reason I go there. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But look, the real thing here is it's kind of stupid that you can only get a drink at one place. Yes. Even the Baja Blast, like now, America has decided to like make fun of Taco Bell every chance it gets. Like, oh, what horrible food, and then we all go and eat it anyway.
Exactly.
And to me, I'm like, damn, when I'm driving past a Taco Bell, suddenly my mouth waters. Why is that? Is it because they put drugs in the food? I don't know.
Yes.
But
nevertheless,
I didn't like the idea though of having to go to one place to get that drink, because that drink was awesome. Baja Blast is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I'd sometimes be sitting around wanting it. Now, the other issue though is even when they came out with the bottles of it, you're not going to get that same taste that you get when you drink it out of a fountain drink at Taco Bell. And I was a little worried about that. I don't know if I ever bought the bottled Baja Blast anyway. And I rarely try different ones, but like they had that one this summer that was like a watermelon or something like that. And it was
so
really good. Yeah.
I love it.
That was good.
I bought a
it was.
12-pack of Livewire cans on Amazon, and it cost me $48.
Are you fucking serious?
Yes.
What is in that? What is the flavor?
Livewire? Livewire.
Yeah.
It's the orange one that came out after Code Red. It was like the second or third variation they ever did. It's my favorite by far.
You feel like this was money well spent?
Only because I can't find it in the store, and I didn't want to go into a gas station and buy a fucking armful of 20-ounce bottles, and that's what it cost. That's there's only one got.
Is it because they don't make it anymore, or is it because it's genuinely hard to find? Because there are expiration dates on these things.
There are. From what I remember when I researched it, it's more of a regional thing. So
okay.
I think it got shipped overseas to me because they sell it in the stores in London or some shit, but they don't here. At least the cans. I can go buy a 20-ounce bottle at a gas station, but I wanted a 12-pack of cans. It's just cans, man.
Right.
I'm just saying, Mountain Dew is probably doing everything correct in terms of their bottom line, and I hate it.
If we, this is the only time I'll get to say this. So I did see just on Twitter this morning that they are making a Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
I saw it.
Flavor of Mountain Dew.
You can go on their website.
Fuck?
Yeah, you can go on their website right now and buy a cake flavored Mountain Dew. It's sold out in 24 hours, but they've got more supply now. I don't have any interest
Mountain Dew is the Taco Bell of beverages. Taco Bell just does whatever the fuck they want to with whatever ingredients.
Hey, we
they
got
have
some of
on
that.
hand.
We got this. Let's throw it together. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have a quesarito.
Do you remember the Enchilito in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
I liked it.
loved that shit.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, that was solid. They just throw things. They're like, okay, here's something that ends with Ito.
You know, another sister company that does this same shit is Lay's potato chips. Every fucking year they put out
all taste the same.
absolutely stupid flavors, and people vote. And hell, even the regular flavors of Lay's now, when I go into that aisle, there's some funky shit like dill pickle cheese vinegar.
It's vinegar from cheese. God. It's coming.
Oh, we're never going to get the bulk of this podcast done.
No, we aren't. But
but we are having fun.
that is right. We are laughing.
An unexpected comment has led to laughter.
That's right. Mine's gonna be quick, I think. But I told you guys that I was trying to get Google Fiber. I was really excited about it earlier this month. It's supposed to be installed August 6th. I'm tired of my Xfinity receptions. The reason why we send Comcast all the time in these Universal movies that we send. And I was like, I want to try this out. 1 gig upload, 1 gig download. I'm down with that. So I got it. I ordered it, and I got a call from some customer service guy on the day that it was supposed to be installed. Said, yeah, we were trying to hook it up and we didn't see some light or something like that. I guess they look for light. I guess it means we're looking for power is probably the easiest way to explain that, I'm assuming. But they are looking for light. They're looking for a light connection of some sort. Couldn't get it for some reason. Somebody came out that day and said, I need to get into your backyard and mark up your yard with like this white spray paint of some sort because of something. I don't know why. I was like, okay, cool. And he goes, it'll probably be about a week before this gets fixed. I was like, okay. And it's apparently like they laid the fiber down wrong where I was. So it was a matter of fixing that. I was like, okay, well, that shouldn't take long. 2 weeks later, nothing has happened. And I saw a guy yesterday who came out and at first wanted to go in the backyard, and then for some reason, just realized I have a box outside the fence. So I don't know why that was why anything had to go in my backyard at all. I don't understand any of that, but apparently somebody thought that they might need to go back there, and then found out, nobody really needs to go back there at all. But they were there. This guy and these two guys were checking stuff in the ground and checking my box and all this other type of stuff for the, like, I don't know, 6-7 hours, whatever it was. And I was like, who the fuck are, I mean, they're not really like, he says he's from Google Fiber. I'm not saying there's anything weird going on here, but I know I looked at the van that this guy came in, and it said SGFS, and I was like, oh, the GF must stand for Google Fiber. I don't know what the S's stand for, but you put in SGFS in the Google machine, and it's like, what the fuck is that? It's like it gives you it gives you a company that has nothing to do with fucking Google Fiber. And I had to strain a little bit and looked at the phone number that was on there, and it's like, I don't remember what number it was, but I looked it up, and it was some company from Georgia. It's like a Georgia fiber company. Oh, Jeremy's nodding like he knows what that is.
Just that I think they use third-party contractors to lay the fiber itself.
Yes, and that's sort of what I'm getting at. The fact is, so after 2 weeks, I actually went through their chat feature and said, hey, I was supposed to get this a couple of weeks ago, and they were supposed to fix something. Do you have an update on that? And then they said, well, we didn't see any light, blah, blah, blah. That was the problem. And I was like, yeah, I understand that. But when is the day that's supposed to be fixed? What do you have that on? Like, when is that due by? Like, well, you don't seem to have a date. And I was like, okay, well, so I guess I'm just supposed to be here waiting, right? I guess that's what it is. Yeah, sorry. And pretty much. And now that some third party company has come out and looked at stuff, there's still no like update. There's no email or anything that says, hey, we finally got your shit fixed. Do you want to schedule another appointment with a technician or anything like that? Like, that's what I'm sort of waiting for. I'm waiting for that email, but I haven't gotten it yet. But somebody did something and they left and they haven't been back since. So what, did they fix it, or is there more shit that they have to look at before that? And it just keeps you in the dark the whole time. And I'm gonna have to probably chat them up again later on, asking, okay, somebody came out, what do I do now? Is it fixed or not? And
Jesus,
before you sign up for this, you don't have an account, right? So like, you sign up for it, and then you get an account. You sign up, and before you sign up, you're like, I would like a technician to come out on this day at this time. Whenever now it says, when I got the email that says my technician was canceled or whatever, it says click here to schedule another appointment. Well, every time I click there to schedule another appointment, it just takes me to my account. It doesn't give me any scheduling thing. And then maybe the reason why is because they haven't fixed it. But still, I would like something in all of this to just tell me, here's the update. You know, why is that hard in this day and age to tell me what's going on in any of this type of stuff? Jesus. So yeah, I guess I realize that there's no winning in the internet game in this country, because I'm dissatisfied with Xfinity. Oh, now I've got a chance to get Google Fiber, and then Google Fiber has some issue that I have to fuck around with now.
So are you just still doing Xfinity until the fiber is hooked up?
Yeah,
you obviously have internet.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about having both for a while, just
nice.
so that I can test Google
you
out.
can double up your porn if you have two internet providers.
Oh boy, I can't wait to double up my porn. That's what we need. But yeah, that's my rant. It's not. It's frustrating. It's not like anything that's putting me out. I just want updates, guys. Just give me some fucking updates is all I'm asking.
Yeah, Jesus. Communicate.
So what if you get it, and which you eventually will, and it's spectacular. It's like the greatest, smoothest internet access ever. Mm-hmm. Will you largely forget this pain in the ass. What I liken it to is when a restaurant forces you to wait for an hour to get your food, but the food is spectacular. And typically I forget about the wait, and that's why I'm just like, well, it took a while to get everything, but that was worth it. I don't really think about that, but do you think you'll have a similar experience if this ends up being fantastic?
I mean, I'm sure that will fade from memory a little bit, but if ever Google Fiber comes up in conversation, I would be like, oh my God, it took fucking forever and they didn't talk to me about anything. And I'm sure that will stay with me. Like, yeah, sure. If the service is fantastic afterwards, I mean, like, God, that wait was terrible, but I'm glad I got it. But there's still going to be a little bit of me that's going to be like, come on here, guys. I mean, it's not hard in this day and age. It's not hard. Even if you get a third party involved, third party reports back to Google and says, this is what I did. Google, all they have to do is come back to me and say, this is what they did. Here's where it is. Here's what we're hoping, blah, blah, blah. And it's a couple of keystrokes is all I'm saying. So,
yeah, I agree. Well, hopefully it turns out to be like the greatest, smoothest, porniest internet ever. My rant's also very, very short, even shorter. I don't know how you guys are about this, but when I click on Twitter, there's usually some sort of trending story. Like I think recently Molly Shannon was trending about like her, like a big expose on her, and that was in LA Times, Sunday Times, something like that. And whenever I click on the actual article, it takes me to a paywall. Boom. You see it for a second. You're like, oh shit, I can read. Oh, cock blocked.
Yeah. That's how they get you.
And I'm like, well, I don't really care about this article enough to really read that because, well, I'll get to that later in my point.
I'm looking at you, Tennessean.
Gannett, all that stuff.
I have to kind of break in here at this point and say that journalism does rely on you guys doing subscriptions.
Oh, sure. No, I'm not sure he's going a different direction than that.
No, I don't think so either. But like, I think I agree with you on something like a Molly Shannon thing. You should at least be able to have a thing that says this is behind a paywall on your Twitter feed. When you click on it, so that you don't get all, I mean, like Jeremy says, that is how they get you. They give you like a paragraph of it and then it fades down at the bottom and they're like, hey, if you pay 2 cents an hour, then we can give you this, article for free or some shit. It's one of those things where it's like, I really would like to read that, but I don't want to pay a subscription for something I'm not going to come back to later. I may not want to read this newspaper over and over and over again. But at the same time, there are a lot of people who complain about reading real news articles that are behind a paywall. And it's like, I mean, that newspapers shut down around the country for years and now they're online and this is basically the only way they make money now.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Anyway, go proceed.
So the reason I bring that up is that I get a newsletter from the New York Times every morning, and I click through, and all of it's behind a paywall. And I recently decided, hey, journalism needs support to actually do it. Now, yes, I could wait until, something like AV Club or ClickList. Well, ClickList, no. But or like the Wrap or something like that summarizes it and feeds it to me in blurbs. But I kind of want to go to the source. I don't really see the reason to not pay for this service because journalism is dying and these people need the money for these stories to be reported, even if they get regurgitated into other stuff. So my initial hesitancy for paywalls has now dissipated. ponied up for New York Times, LA Times, a few others, and I could not be happier. I feel like I'm supporting. I used to be subscribed to the Tennessean, to the Louisville Courier-Journal, to the Times at one point. And, when I thought about it, I was like, man, first of all, it is dirt cheap because they're not printing as much as they used to. But I'd like to have the actual story that's not regurgitated and editorialized by a third-party site that is free or a blog. I want to get it straight from the source. So I have finally given up my derision of paywalls and dove in. And now I'm not going to get every trade publication that comes out there. Like I wouldn't get, every newspaper back in the day where I walk out and get it off my front stoop. But there are sometimes the Times and a few other, maybe Chicago Tribune, even though that's owned by some even shadier people than it was owned by. For many years I was very against paywalls, and now I feel liberated because I have joined in, and I feel like I am supporting that journalism, and I am able to access things from the source instead of some sort of oblique way of getting to that news story.
Well, what we're talking about is, part of a much bigger problem with our American civilization. How news has been covered has been changed specifically because of what Chris was talking about, where people don't buy magazines anymore, so journalism needs to find other avenues to make money. So a lot of what you see is, for a while, it was pop-up ads. And
there still is.
Yeah, and for some, that's still the way they do it. Some of them do display ads, and so that gets you a lot more clickbaity. That's where you get stuff like, see Keanu Reeves as Batman, and it's just some piece of fan art. Yeah, that's just, but they don't put the fan art part in the headline, but you've already clicked and made. And even the coverage of politics is kind of where this is the worst in terms of we are still, I'm not part of the journalism community. There are still many of them just chasing clicks, which is why I think it is important to subscribe to some of the better sources that you are aware of, right? So I already subscribe to the New York Times and the LA Times. And I think that's it for now.
Yeah, Tribune Media can eat a dick, and I think they're actually getting that too right now. There's
they're all probably
union.
4 different companies. So yes, good journalism needs to be supported, and I try to not support the clickbaity journalism. I've always said, it's best to get your news from multiple sources instead of just one. And I think the paywall has forced a lot of people into getting just their news from just one place that doesn't have a paywall.
Yeah, it kind of not intimidates you, but it kind of deters you from saying, oh, I want to do this because maybe I just want one article. But you know what? You are going to go back to the LA Times and the New York Times. Washington Post is a whole different story, but Wall Street Journal, reputable news sources that vet their stuff. And in that case, don't be scared of the paywall, folks. Pay the $4 a month or whatever the hell it is, and at least get the most accurate representation of the article in which it was intended.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to steal your thunder of your rant. I did not mean to do that. Something inside me was like, well, we're about to go into this whole railing against the subscription model thing. And I was like, I could hear 1,000 voices going, but you have to pay for good journalism. And then we'd finally get into it. And then they were like, but I've already commented on Discord 3 times about how you guys are evil people, so like
I didn't help matters by saying that's how they get you and immediately framing the newspaper as the bad guy.
And then I said something, I was trying to come up with some sort of random value, and I think I said 2 cents per second, and then you'll get it for free or some shit. I don't even know what that means. So, anyway, did not mean to steal your thunder. When it started going that way, I was like, I know of podcasts that I go back and listen to, when we go through the review process of the podcast and everything, where like we're going on something for about 10 minutes. And then at the end of it, we do our corrections and all that. And I'm just hearing like thousands of keyboards typing, during those moments. So today we have a topic about remakes.
Yeah.
What are the best remakes? What are the worst? What are the ones that are in between, maybe?
We have a great opportunity here, Chris, because not only this was inspired by the Nicolas Cage version of The Wicker Man coming out 15 years ago, almost to the day that we record this.
Yeah, I remember watching Wicker Man. Was at my New York theater, man. Watched it in the middle of a shift.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, that was an experience.
Oh, no. Yeah. So that came out recently, and then as we record this this coming weekend, the reboot, you could say, of Candyman is coming out. So it seemed relevant to me at this time. So yeah, I look back and think about things on anniversaries and stuff like that. And Wicker Man is such an interesting example of a remake of a classic movie. I figured this would be a very, very interesting subject to get into. We've talked about it before, but not in a segment.
Yeah. Looking at the list of things that we have here, there's going to be a few that I'll have fond or bad memories of, but there's a lot I actually don't remember about some of these remakes. I'm going to be right off the bat there. I'm not going to be able to have full recall on a lot of these, but which, by the way, Total Recall.
No, I did not see. We could even start there. I did not see the remake on this. Did you guys?
A Total Recall?
Yeah.
I kind of like it. It's not
really.
Good. It's not good.
Oh no,
it does everything wrong. But I like watching it. And it may simply be because it's got Kate Beckinsale and Jessica Biel in it.
Well, that makes sense.
Which one has 3 boobs?
The Arnold one.
Yeah.
Of Kate Beckinsale and Jessica Biel.
But this one has
yeah, Chris is right. Neither of them. They're playing his wife and Melina.
There is some sort of cheeky reference to the 3-boobed woman from.
I think there is. Yeah,
I can't remember what it is. Maybe she's wearing something that has 3 cups. I don't think anybody with 3 boobs shows up. Like there's no nudity or anything like
no, certainly not. No, it's actually that's one of the problems is that it's too tame.
Right.
Not that there's not nudity. I'm sorry. Not that there's not nudity. But that it's too tame.
Yeah.
I don't need to see 3 boobs to enjoy a Total Recall movie.
I think was it Bryan Cranston plays Cohagen?
He does.
Yeah.
He does, and it's not Mars. It's like a subterranean colony below the Richies on Earth.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. I like Colin Farrell more than I think a lot of people do.
In general?
In general, you got a John Cho with blonde hair in here as the recall technician. It is watchable garbage. I enjoy watching. But the original is still far superior and actually a great film. So,
and Len Wiseman of the Underworld movies did this. I think he's married to Kate Beckinsale. So
he was
married.
I don't think he is anymore.
No. But that was a thing where you saw a bunch of Len Wiseman movies with Kate Beckinsale back in the day. They divorced. Wait a minute. They married May 9th, 2004, and then 2015 separating. They were married a long time.
Solid. That's solid.
Solid for Hollywood. Anyway, Barrett, you wrote out a whole list here, and I guess I'll just go through we'll go through some titles.
We should
here.
caveat, we're not going to get to all of them. So
Right.
before you get to your keyboard and go, you forgot about the fact that Sound of Music was a remake too. We're not going to get to all of them.
I'll tell you what, after I saw Barrett's list, I was like, okay, I think there are a few more that we might want to put on here. I put them on there just in case. But I went to Google and was like, show me all the remakes. And
that's how you talk to Google.
Yeah, exactly. Like turn on that microphone and like show me all the remakes. And I was going through them. I was like, yeah, okay, I remember that one. Yeah, sure, yeah, totally. And then it said Heat, and I was like, Heat's not a fucking remake. I went to the IMDb, and it's like written by Michael Mann. It doesn't, and in parentheses, not based on anything else. No, it didn't say.
I assure you, this is not based on previous IP.
That's right, but it said written by Michael Mann, and it didn't say any others. So I was like, where the fuck did they get that Heat shit? Anyway, yeah, we won't get to all of them, but one of the big ones that have come out in the past 20 years came out the same year as The Wicker Man, The Departed.
Departed!
And based on Infernal Affairs.
Yeah, this is probably this may be my favorite of all the ones that we're going to talk about on the best list.
Mm-hmm.
It's endlessly watchable. It's the last great Jack Nicholson performance. I mean, I don't know if you bucket list fans are going to yell at me for that, but it's the last time that you've seen Jack being Jack. It's classic performance by Damon. Almost, I mean, you could say there's many breakout performances from Leo DiCaprio, but this is, I think, new territory even for him at this point. He goes to places that you don't really expect him to. It's such a complicated story. It's so Boston-y. And I can watch this any day of the week. I know it's not up there with, top 70s, 80s Scorsese, but it's up there with me.
Should the identity of an undercover officer ever be only known by two individuals? That feels like a massive fuck up on Martin Sheen's part in this movie.
Isn't that a movie thing, though?
Yeah, probably.
Like it's always, we've got to find a way to get to the lowest common, well, maybe it's not lowest common denominator, but put the hero as far up that tree as we possibly can during the script writing process, because that was one of the complaints about Crimson Tide when it came out, was like there would be so many more communication things for submarines if they break two of them, or they're out of range on one of them, and then they break another one, and then they're no more communications, and that was one of the complaints about Crimson Tide. And it's like, well, yeah, but are we gonna put 30 minutes in the movie of them like a series of fucking like things breaking over and over again? Becomes absurd, right?
Yeah,
but you're right. This is it is insane that there's only two people, just in case something like this were to happen, right? There'd always need to be a key man or key person in on this that's knows all the stuff, but nobody pays any attention to. It's like Wally in the file room or something.
There you go. I like a good Scorsese movie that has a protagonist you can root for, like this movie. I could probably, if I wanted to, make an argument that Leo's character is still kind of a dick.
He's totally
I don't
a
want
dick.
to.
No, I mean, he is a dick. He's not a murderous dick, but he's a dick.
And he's morally, I think he's got the moral high ground of almost anybody else in this movie. And like you were talking about Goodfellas recently, Chris, about how everybody in that movie's a criminal asshole. You end up kind of rooting for him. But a lot of Scorsese movies are like this, where it's not a lot of good people to glom onto. And that's, I think, one of the things that makes The Departed so great for me to go back to over and over. Of course, everybody in this gives a career performance. Alec Baldwin, Marky Mark, everybody is at the top of their game. But it's that I have something to root for. When I watch Goodfellas, I get depressed.
I do too.
I'm
no
using that
bullshit.
colloquially.
Really do.
But this is, he's a hero, and like at the end, you're happy because everybody got their comeuppance, and then that rat shows up. Yeah, fucking
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I think it's called hard-boiled dialogue. I'm not sure. I think that's what they infused Departed with. But I like the dialogue in there where it's like, Mark Wahlberg is like, I'm the guy who does this job. You must be the other guy. And, and then just all that stuff Alec Baldwin is spewing through the whole movie is just gold all the way through it.
I have a pristine record. I have a perfect record.
yeah. And all the, the like, hey, you want a cigarette? Ah, you probably a health nut, huh? Hey, go fuck yourself.
Well, there's plenty of bartenders.
yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of like just real hard, like I would say hard boiled dialogue, but I could be misnaming the convention. But I when I first watched The Departed, I thought it was a lesser Scorsese movie because it just didn't. I mean, and with all that star power too, I was like, I guess it's all right. And then I've warmed up to it as a great movie at this point, except for the rat shit.
Is this the only time, before we leave this, what is another movie where Matt Damon plays as big of a piece of shit as this? Now, The Informant, he's a delusional piece of shit, you could say.
Yeah, he's got an illness.
Likeable piece of shit.
Yeah. Like, has he ever played somebody like loathsome?
He doesn't play a lot of bad guys.
No.
He's loathsome in this movie from all angles, right?
Oh, yeah.
I could argue he's kind of that way in Good Will Hunting. He's kind of a dick in that movie.
He is way
he gets redeemed. He gets redeemed.
I mean, I guess you could say talented Mr. Ripley, but
even that you're kind of rooting for him to get through it because it's such a complicated thing he has to get through during that. But yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he plays the absolute bad guy in anything other than this, really. And
he plays it perfectly. Yeah, because he's an asshole to Vera Farmiga. He can't get it up. He's terrible to Frank, even though he's beholden to him. He's trying to get Billy. Like, there's just so many layers of assholedom to him that, like, it makes Mark Wahlberg seem like the hero at the fucking end. You're like, yes. Finally kill that motherfucker. Yeah. Even though Dignam is like the worst person in the world. At least he has a moral compass. And you're like, oh, okay. But Damon gives a great performance, but this is the only time I've seen him so scuzzy.
When he sees Wahlberg in the apartment at the end, and he's got like the fucking like cellophane around his feet and all this shit, and then and he's got the gun, and Damon's like, okay. The funniest shit ever before somebody dies.
And it's immediate, man. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love this movie.
Yeah. Next one on the list is another Scorsese movie. It's Cape Fear, which I have only seen the remake of this. I have not seen the original yet. Jeremy has seen the original, I believe.
And recently and twice. I actually liked it so much. I own it on Amazon, and I own a physical disc now.
Nice.
And real quick, though, because I meant to say this before we moved on, have you guys both seen the Infernal Affairs that Departed is based on?
I have.
Because I saw it a long time ago, but I liked it. I don't remember much about it.
Now, there's three of them.
There are, I think most people who've seen both prefer Infernal Affairs, but it also could be the thing they saw first is the thing that they judge everything. Right. I watched Infernal Affairs after The Departed, and I thought it was great. I think it was as equal to The Departed, if not better than it.
Okay.
When I saw it,
I remember thinking.
I also don't remember too much about it. There are some plot points that are different in Infernal Affairs than Departed.
We have talked Cape Fear recently, so I don't need to go through all of it again. But the original is fantastic. A completely different way to go about. It's got that classic Hollywood moment making, like where somebody says something dramatic and you turn, but it's perfect. It uses all that stuff perfectly. Robert Mitchum is just as terrifying as De Niro, but in a much more subtle way, and a much more I'm almost being nice to you, and it's even scarier kind of way. And Mockingbird, fuck you, Jeremy. Gregory Peck. I really enjoy his portrayal of the character a little more than Nolte's, because Nolte's, like, baseline Nolte is unhinged already, and then when he gets worked up, it just goes up more and more, whereas Peck, it has much more of a slow burn going throughout the film. I was blown away how much I liked the original, to the point where I would hold them both in the same regard at this point. But the sequel is fantastic. At least Scorsese's track record making remakes is pretty good so far.
Yeah.
So he announces.
Yeah, I mean,
who plays the wife in the remake?
Jessica Lange.
Jessica Lange. Yeah.
No, yeah, Jessica Lange.
Yeah, I haven't seen Cape Fear in forever. The remake. I saw it in theaters. I think I was 14 when that movie came out. Yeah, there was a period right around the time I became a teenager. I suddenly was able to watch R-rated movies, and I don't know why that is, but yeah, I saw that, and at the time when you watch the remake, you don't realize how disgusting that De Niro Juliette Lewis thing is until
Jesus,
way later on. And Juliette Lewis, I think, is 16 in that movie, 16 or 17.
Yeah.
But De Niro, this was probably one of my first experiences with De Niro was Cape Fear, and he's absolutely the terrifying in that. And the I think the trailer even had that come out wherever you are, and you just it rings in your head every once in a while, like that line reading does. So
he's straight up unkillable at the end of this movie, by the way. Like, he is fucking RoboCop for like a good 20 minutes, and I don't mind because it's so good a journey. But if we were sinning that movie, it'd be top heavy on the end of that movie for a sin count for sure.
The Coen brothers came out with True Grit in 2010. I don't think I saw the original here. This is the John Wayne, right? Original.
Yep.
Then the Coen brothers remade it with Jeff Bridges, Matt Damon, and Haley Steinfeld, who we did not know of at the time. But they put it's almost a pretty much straight up Western. It does have some of their flavor in it in some of the dialogue that you hear throughout the movie, and Matt Damon especially.
He's so good.
And it's so funny in this movie.
There's a lot of Damon, happening in this list.
Yeah,
no, it's so good. It's so great. Now, Jeff Bridges, I've mentioned that since the late 90s, typically he's got two speeds. He's got the Dude, and he's got Rooster Cogburn. His Hell or High Water is great, but it's Rooster Cogburn. His Tron Legacy is great, but it's the Dude.
modern day Jeff Bridges. Like, if you were to go before that,
absolutely, absolutely.
Starman, he's neither of those things.
Starman, he's neither of those things.
Well, then you can start categorizing his Starman type performances because Starman, he's this weird, like, I don't know, like, weird way about him, but also in The Vanishing, he has this really strange way about him. And that I loved him in The Vanishing. It's just, it's funny the modes he gets into. Bridges does.
The Vanishing is also a remake, isn't it?
Yeah, The Vanishing is also a remake.
That's crazy.
Now, this is also like first time bias. I like the Kiefer Sutherland. This is fucking blasphemy, by the way. I know what I'm about to say is ridiculous to a lot of you people, but it's because I saw it first and I enjoyed it so much, and I enjoyed the performances in it so much, that when I saw the original Vanishing, which is a great movie, by the way, I still like that. I don't know. It's because of my 16-year-old me that keeps coming back on that remake. and Jeff Bridges is so bonkers in it. But anyway, back to
he
True
made
Grit.
some choices.
Yeah, and True Grit and Josh Brolin, of course, longtime Coen Brothers guy, is terrific. And I tell you who's sneaky good in this movie is Barry Pepper. Barry Pepper's, riding with Josh Brolin. He is, well, Brolin has executed Haley Steinfeld's father in the movie. And he meets up with Pepper to split the reward, or to split the bounty on him. And what you're right, Chris. It's almost a straight up Western, and it's gorgeous. It's set in like Arkansas / what is it? Texarkana, I guess, right? Arkansas and Texas.
I actually don't remember the location, but
it's gorgeous, right. And the way that it resolves is terrific. It's not the bloodbath that you expect. It's not the hero's death that you expect. It's apparently Coen Brothers decided they were going to go with the book more than they were with the remake of the original movie. The original movie is terrific. It is my favorite John Wayne performance, maybe outside of Rio Bravo, but even Rio Bravo, he's John Wayne being John Wayne.
Yeah.
But this one is up there with The Departed of the best, and I think this was nominated for Best Picture, wasn't it?
Definitely was. Although I'm going to start caveating some of these. I'm wondering if it would have gotten a Best Picture if we still had the original 5 nominee rule.
Oh, yeah, because this was a longer one, right?
2010. They start, you start seeing 10 nominees for things. But yes, I don't want to take anything away from it because it is a great movie. It did get nominated for Best Picture.
I've seen a lot of movies where two people are thrust into a situation together, they don't like each other, and by the end, they care about each other. This is probably one of the 7 only stories told in Hollywood or what have you. Blood Diamond is essentially the same thing. But they sell it so good. Part of it is how good Haley Steinfeld is. Part of it is how good Haley Steinfeld is up against fucking Jeff Bridges, holding her own. Because I love the way this movie ends, because she's been bitten by a snake and he's got to get back to town to get, the anti-venom or what have you. And he literally rides his horse into the ground, shoots it, picks her up and starts walking. And you buy it. You buy that he has, because of everything they've been through, most importantly, where he really almost saw a situation where she was kidnapped or killed. And now it's real. He cares about her. He's desperate to fucking get that anti-venom for her, and I buy it. I love this movie.
Next up, for you Snyder bros, Dawn of the Dead, which was a team up of future very popular directors, because James Gunn wrote the screenplay based off the George Romero original. I think at the time I had not seen the original Dawn of the Dead when I watched this, but I loved this when this came out. I think I prefer the Romero, but this one is still really good. Sarah Polley, who I really enjoyed as an actor, but has gone on to be more of a director these days, which is good for her. I just loved seeing her as an actor for a long time, but she's the main character in this. But Dawn of the Dead for me is always going to have that scene where it's the Richard Cheese and the Lounge Lizards version of Down with the Sickness playing while all those zombies are walking around in that little plaza while there's people on the roof picking I think they're shooting them during this scene too, but your mother, get up, come on, get down with the sickness. This movie was a really good modern retelling of a classic, and I don't remember it doing very well, but it was certainly the arrival of filmmakers we would be seeing for the next couple of decades.
It was also part of that zombie revival, right? That may not have been the first one of this era, but it's one of the first ones that I remember to where we got to World War Z and Walking Dead, and it got people like me were saying enough with the fucking zombies already. Go back to vampires.
Shaun of the Dead was around this time too, right?
Well, Dawn of the Dead was 2004, right?
Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead. Was I think it was maybe the same year. In fact, and I think they had to do something maybe even with the title because the movies were coming out in the same year. Don't know if it was, or they had to do something with the release date, not the title, because they were coming out around the same time. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to look up the box office for it.
I'm with you, Chris. I prefer the original. This is one of the only times where, or on this list, where the original's better. But this one surprised me with how well it executed. It's super hyper saturated. It's super close up. There's less slow-mo than you would expect from Zack Snyder, but he hadn't really gotten his busted his nut yet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, no, it's really well done. It's dystopic. Ty Burrell is such an asshole in this.
Yeah, he is.
Ving Rhames is great in this. There's the supporting cast is really good too. But just the look of it, there's genuine empathy felt for the guy across the street that's writing on the board with Ving Rhames. This is a good movie. You should watch both, and you'll probably, I would hope you would like the original one, but you'll like what you like.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I agree. Dawn of the Dead made 59 million domestic. It made 102 worldwide, and I'm sure the budget was pretty low. So it probably was a pretty decent hit. Okay, then Scarface. A lot of people don't know that Scarface is a remake, but I've seen the original Scarface, and of course, it's nothing like the 1983 Brian De Palma, but it has certain elements to it that old one does.
Oh, for sure.
It's surprising. It's actually surprising how much of that original is in this in the remake version.
Yeah, the story is the story. It's a young man coming up in the ranks and befriending the main boss, and eventually stealing the girl, and eventually downfalling. The first one was in Chicago, based on Al Capone.
Yeah, really more like more in your face based on Al Capone than this character. Of course, they also change his nationality, and Al Pacino, that well-known Cuban, as we've said before, plays Scarface in this movie. I believe the movie recipe.
Exactly. I think Cuban. I believe Stephen Bauer, who plays Manny, is his best friend, is the only actual Cuban American in the film. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio isn't. Al Pacino, obviously.
Right.
And so, Frank Langella.
Frank
Langella. Robert Loggia.
Robert
Loggia certainly isn't Cuban. But,
you get your manual.
I think I know how you guys feel about this movie. I think this movie is spectacular. I think Brian De Palma is doing his De Palma-y stuff in a very different environment. We've talked about how Spielberg came in to shoot that final scene, which I think is spectacular. Ollie Stone is writing the screenplay when he's trying to beat cocaine.
Right, reportedly coked out when he wrote it.
I mean, this is the wrong screenplay to write when you're trying to get over cocaine.
Yes,
or maybe it is. Maybe it's the right one.
I don't know, but I think somewhere out there in the ether is a documentary or some sort of treatment of what people think about Scarface, because I think probably most people like Scarface, but there's enough of a negative opinion of this movie that I think it might be something like 60-40 or 65-35 or something like that, because there's enough people out there who make fun of Scarface in a way that, that's like, okay, look, let's slow your roll on saying it's great. I might say it's good, but it's kind of insane, but it's a heavily influential movie, and it's watchable. I've seen it 3 times and I don't like it that much. I mean, there are scenes in the movie that I enjoy. I mean, Robert Loggia, you can't that when he hangs that guy out of the helicopter, man. I mean, that's just insanity. That's fun to watch. I don't know.
Well, he doesn't hang the guy. Just for sake of clarity, Sosa hangs the guy F. Murray Abraham out of the helicopter.
Oh, that's right. It's F. Murray Abraham. F. Murray Abraham hangs the guy out of the helicopter, or orders the guy to be hanged. Right?
He is the guy hung.
He is the guy.
Yeah.
He is the guy. Okay.
It's Sosa because they go back to Cuba, and he meets with Sosa. Tony meets with Sosa with F. Murray Abraham's character, and because Robert Loggia's character doesn't trust Tony on his own. Rightfully so.
Loggia's the guy in America who's like the big cheese.
Yeah, he's the boss, and he's got this agreement with Sosa, and Sosa's just like he takes Tony out and watches them hang F. Murray Abraham's character, and he's like, here's the deal. Here's what I think of your deal right now. And Pacino's like, or Montana is like, that guy, I never trust him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's like, I like Frank. But he ends up brokering that deal, and that's the moment where he usurps Robert Loggia's character. And it's I love this movie.
He's got that tremendous like ambition to the point of delusions of grandeur almost, especially when he's like first starting out. Because he's like, I'm gonna be the guy that's the top of this whole thing by the end of it. And you're like, what's your fucking plan? Oh, you're gonna kill a bunch of people. That's gonna be part of it.
I will never forget, right before we filmed this movie recipe and ate one of the best dishes I've ever tasted in my life, I said to Chris, you're going to have to carry us on this because I've never seen Scarface. And he said, great, I don't even like it. And then he carried the episode and pretended to like it more than he did because the chef was a really big fan of it.
Yep. And he had just been down to Cuba and learned all these new flavors and all this other type of thing.
Put it all in that lamb dish, man. That was, I swear there were like 7 things in there I've never tasted before or again.
Yeah. Squid ink.
Squid ink. I actually have tasted that before and again, but the Cuban spices, man, it was unlike anything my mouth had ever experienced.
Yeah, that's right. Have you seen it since, Jeremy?
I've never seen it. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was the point of the story, was to say I still haven't seen it. I can't really comment. I've not seen any of the Scarface movies.
Interesting.
It might be fun.
Fun to see.
Might be fun to see what
you
you think of them, because the movie is bonkers. I mean, it's just absolute. I always talk about the scene that I hate is just Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio and Stephen Bauer are gonna get married, and then we were just trying to surprise you, and it's like, Tony Montana really seems like a guy who loves surprises. That was a good idea. I mean, Scarface is always going to be like a Blade Runner or something to me, where I'll give it another chance after a few years. Like maybe, over time I'll like this. And every time I watch it, I get bogged down in the same things every time. But on to Ocean's 11. If I've seen the original Ocean's 11, I don't remember if I've seen it, because it would have been just before the remake came out, because I would have had to, because there was a point in time where I used to try to watch the original before the remake came out. And I just don't remember if I saw this one.
It's
I did.
Boring.
Yeah, it's boring as balls.
I don't know how you get Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis, and the other guys in the Rat Pack and make this boring, but this original is fucking boring.
It's the talkiest heist film since the Spanish Prisoner, which came decades later.
It sure is.
It's just I remember I watched it because the remake had come out, and I've greatly enjoyed it. And I was like Barrett, I was shocked how boring it is, and it made me feel like what Adam Sandler does often. It was just a vacation for them to get together in Vegas, and shooting the movie was like secondary to them.
They are going through the fucking motions and that, and we know Frank Sinatra is a good to great actor, or was.
Yeah.
But man, he is just floating through this in a haze of bourbon and cigarettes and God knows what else. Blowjobs.
The remake's good though.
Remake is good.
Yeah. Love the remake. I love that heist. Now, they of course got ridiculous with the sequels, where it was like you can't come up with a heist with this many moving parts and expect to win. I mean, and almost every time they get in a jam, it was like, oh, I know somebody who can do this or whatever. It's like, no, not every situation. And Matt Damon twice in Ocean's 12 and in Ocean's 13 gets his fucking parents to bail him out of things. And it's always some, like funny argument or whatever, like, haha, don't tell dad or some shit. Yeah. But Ocean's 11 was one of those that was a complete surprise and fun all the way through. It just doesn't hold up over sequels.
Yeah, it's one of the funniest shots of the whole thing is in 2001 when George Clooney and Brad Pitt walk out of that poker club and everybody swarms Topher Grace and Danny Masterson and all those guys, and they just walk past. It's so great.
It's also kind of responsible for like a whole genre of music. Like if you go to stock music sites, there are titles that riff on the name Oceans or have numbers, and they're all like, all those Oceans movies have that particular. I actually bought one of those tracks and used it for a customer's ad back when I was making videos.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good track. I think it's probably still on my PC here.
I mean, we've seen Ocean's 11 but man, the later movies, especially Ocean's 13, has all these different, like, there's no way all of these people were able to be in these positions at the time that you said they were. Like, oh yeah, we knew about that guy being here. Like, how the fuck did you know about that guy being here? And then and when we made sure that somebody was always keeping their eyes on him. Oh, so they were keeping their eyes on him while they were doing the fucking this other thing completely different from that earlier. It's always like, they always do that with some character you've forgotten about, so that you'll be like, oh yeah, I don't need to ask any questions about that, even though that guy's busy with something completely different all the way through the movie. But yeah.
Do you like 13 better than 12, Chris? Or I know you have
No, I still like the daffiness of 12 over 13. 13 they made to make up for Ocean's 12.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the daffiness of Ocean's 12, the fact that they don't give a fuck, kind of like comes through and makes it funner for me. And especially that fucking laser dance at the end.
I found this royalty track where I paid for the rights to use it. It's called Casino by the Ocean. That's the way that you're getting a riff track off of Ocean's soundtrack.
Yeah.
Casino by the Ocean.
Casino by the Ocean. The next one here is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which has been remade many times, even since this remake. The Donald Sutherland thing at the end of this movie is one of the most terrifying things you'll ever see. I don't know what he did to get that face and everything, but like it's unbelievable. Like, how did he work on that face? Did he go in the mirror and like, okay, what's the most terrible thing that will leave people with nightmares at the end of this movie?
This is just as scary as The Departed. It's a weird comparison, but they literally have nowhere to go at one point. When they find out that Leonard Nimoy's character, who's great in this movie, by the way, Leonard Nimoy's character has been compromised, and literally it's just Donald Sutherland and that lady who I can't remember. Sorry. There's nowhere to go. They can't go to government. They can't go to the cops. They can't go to trusted people because everything has been taken over. It's that 70s paranoia that's taken up all the way to the top. You literally have nobody else to go to, almost like the comparison is the weirdness that Billy Costigan is in The Departed, where there's nowhere he can go. He can maybe fake his own death and leave, but there's nothing they can do in Invasion of the Body Snatchers except how it ends.
Yeah. And then later on we had, I think, just Body Snatchers, which was really well done. The Invasion, which was not very good.
That movie sucks ass. That's Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig, right? They talk about going through the motions.
Dominic West made a movie with Nicole Kidman. I always get confused with this one. Forgotten?
Well, The Forgotten is Julianne Moore, but The Invasion definitely had Daniel Craig in it.
Damn it, Jeremy.
The Forgotten is that Julianne Moore. I can't remember who the dude was in that movie, but it has this has nothing to do with our remakes. But The Forgotten has one of the scariest. Even it's a terrible movie, but it has one of the scariest moments. One of like hair going, coming off of your arms, kind of scare moments in it. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I feel like I have, but I don't remember it at all.
It's basically Julianne Moore and I can't remember who else. Maybe it's Dominic West. Loses their child, and they don't know what they don't. That they aren't believed. It's kind of that kind of thing. And then Julianne Moore finds out it's like aliens or whatever, and but by the end of it, they're like, "What do you want from?" Julianne Moore is like asking the alien guy, "What do you want from us? What do you want? What do you? Yeah. What do you want, huh?" And then he goes, "We want you to forget." It's just like this. All this wind is blowing past him and everything. It's just like insane. It just like raises your head like this. If you, I don't know, it may not today. It might be lame, and I'm just being stupid. But
Dominic West was in a movie called The Awakening with Rebecca Hall that had nothing to do with Nicole Kidman or Julianne Moore.
All right. On to Suspiria, which came out of
Suspiria.
Suspiria. Came out a few years ago. Now, the Dario Argento original is of course classic, and it's really good. Although this remake just adds so many layers to that original. I still don't know what I think is best, though.
Oh, I do. I think the remake is vastly superior, and it's probably heresy, but I think Argento was making
vastly superior to the original ending. There's no new ending. I'm quoting Sideways. I interrupted you to quote Sideways. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nice. No, I think Argento was making a straight up giallo film that just happens to be super stylish, was seminal at the time, and it's really, 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 really good. But I think Guadagnino, I think there was so much more thought put into it. The cast seems like we've all professed our love for Dakota Johnson's work and herself, but she's at a different level in this movie. And
that Tilda Swinton performance is insane too. It's another. I mean, it's another layer to that movie. I certainly remember the remake more than I remember the original, and I only recently saw the original just a few years ago, so it's not good. It's really good. But yeah, I don't know. I like elements of the original more than I like the remake. So,
well, I think the remake is much more to me than a horror film, and I think the original is much more of a horror film. And not to bag on horror, I love horror, but I think, like you said, there's more meat on the bone here. There's more subtext, there's more metaphor, and I absolutely adore watching it. It is beautiful to watch.
It is. It really is. On to another George A. Romero remake, The Crazies, which that remake is really good.
It is.
I had not seen the original when the new one came out. I think I have recently seen the original on this, but this was way better than I thought it would be, even though I didn't have anything to base it off of when I was watching it. Is it Timothy Oliphant in the remake? Yeah.
Didn't this have a weird release date, like a shitty release date? February 23rd.
Ugh.
In 2010.
Valentine's Day, everybody.
Yeah,
go out and see The Crazies.
There are a lot of horror movies that seem to come out in February because February is a dumping ground, except for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and this one, I had the same thing. I was like, well, it's lumped in with all that stuff. Got a very generic name. I also had not seen the original. The original is on Mubi, I think, and the original is good. I think it has more subtext, the 73 version than the 2010 version, but the 2010 version is fun. It's almost like a Resident Evil movie that's much better than any other Resident Evil movie ever made.
Yeah.
Jeremy, have you seen this?
Nope. Oh, no, I have seen the remake.
The remake,
the Timothy
right?
Oliphant. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I don't typically like movies like that. It's weird because, and I've seen them all, but there's a bunch of movies that came out around this area that in my mind I called big name actor does a horror movie. They had that Luke Wilson one with the crazy masks,
Vacancy,
and then there was one where the hotel videotapes you and kills you. And then not the hotel building, the people that work there.
After having just seen a movie called Slacks with Killer Jeans, which we just interviewed the director of and everything, I'm sitting there thinking, was there a movie where a hotel is a peeper?
But my point was the Crazies is better than most of those. Like most of those are watchable. Most of those are decent. But this one was more, it felt like it was more about the people. And I just love Timothy Oliphant. I'll watch anything he does.
He's so good. I think he's extremely underrated. He was so good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's so good in Mandalorian, which Jeremy, I don't know if you've seen.
I have not.
He's great in Go. I think he's great in that fourth Die Hard with what he had to work with. I think he
Justified.
got lumped. I think he got lumped into that Steven Dorff, Skeet Ulrich, heart
early on,
type of thing.
Yeah.
Josh Duhamel, because he looks exactly like Josh Duhamel. But I think he's got more talent than maybe all of them combined.
You may not be wrong, actually. Timothy Oliphant is always a welcome presence. He plays bad guys most of the time, but he's always like a fun bad guy. Mm-hmm. Go, he's fantastic in. The Girl Next Door, he's really good in. I mean, I love Timothy Oliphant. I hope he makes movies forever. I'm going to go one more in your good pile, and then I'll go to some of our bad ones after this. The Italian Job, which I have not seen the original, and I saw the remake. There was something weird about that screening of the remake because it was we had a sneak preview of it for, and there were some things that were not complete about it. I think something to that effect. But I have not seen the remake of The Italian Job since 2003, and I think both of you guys really love this movie.
I love it. Now, it's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's very 2003.
I was going to say there are a couple of things that date it hard, like the Napster shit is probably the biggest problem because Seth Green's character calls himself the Napster because he roomed with Sean Fanning in college and he invented Napster, but Sean Fanning stole it while he was napping and named it Napster. And there's even a fucking clip when he's telling the story. They actually got Sean Fanning to come and play act him stealing the code while Seth Green is asleep at his desk. So there are some things that date it pretty hard, but everybody knows exactly what this is. Everybody in this movie knows what their role is. Ed Norton, he's like, I'm the villain. I'm going to choose scenery. I'm going to have good one-liners, but I'm going to lose in that.
Yeah,
and a mustache.
Yep.
Marky Mark is like, I'm playing Marky Mark. Charlize Theron is like, I'm playing Marky Mark. No, I'm just kidding. It's really fun. The heists, as there are basically two planned heists, one in the beginning that they execute perfectly, and then one in the end that they have to change gears at the last minute. But the heists are both awesome. Like the detail that goes into it, the planning, the execution. It's really fun.
The chase is so beautiful.
Oh, with the Mini Coopers and the helicopter?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel now it's been a minute since I've seen it, but I feel like that was filmed really, really excitedly.
They did good geography on it too, because Norton's character lives like in the hills, and they end up stopping one of the money trucks, the gold trucks, right outside the Grauman's Chinese Theater and Hollywood Walk of Fame. And then there's another point where they actually say the name of an intersection where the truck is going. And I went and pulled up Google Maps, and I'm like, yep, that's 2 blocks away from where it was in front of this. And that the geography of it all makes really good sense too. Yeah. It's just really fun. It's just fun. Like, this is probably what people who love the Fast and Furious movies feel about those movies. I just hate the Fast and Furious movies and love this one. But, it's got a big cast. Everybody's having a good time. There's some interesting action. The original's great, too. I haven't seen it in probably 10 years, but the original...
Michael Caine is a little bit better of an actor than Mark Wahlberg, I can say.
Just a skosh.
A little bit.
Just a wee.
And very engaging. I mean, Mark Wahlberg is not the reason to come see this movie. He's the placeholder. He's not terrible in it or anything like that, but the supporting cast is doing the heavy lifting here, including Edward Norton and Charlize. And
it always bugged the hell out of me that he's in this movie, and he plays a character named Charlie, and then shortly after this, he's in a movie called The Truth About Charlie, and it always bugged me.
Which is also a remake of what was that movie?
Shit!
The
You're
Truth
right.
About Charlie was a remake of Charade.
Oh, Charade.
Charade is the movie.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go down into some of our bad ones now. Planet of the Apes, 2000 Tim Burton movie. What a fucking terrible movie that is.
I forgot what a terrible movie this was until I accidentally watched it not too long ago.
More Mark Wahlberg.
This is why I can't figure out if he's a good actor or not. There are times where I guess he's not like Keanu Reeves, because I think Keanu has more range, but there are times where I like Mark Wahlberg, and maybe it's the direction, maybe it's the movie, maybe it's whatever. But I mean, when Estella Warren can outact you in this movie, there's some issues.
That's Jeremy's girlfriend, Estella Warren.
There's also, she's never been a great actress. I told her that when we were dating. That's why we broke up.
True.
Actually,
that's true. I forgot about that.
There's a difference between like a whammy ending and like just utter fucking confusion. Like when he lands and sees the Lincoln Memorial, but there's an ape on it. The fuck happened? The fuck happened? Tim Burton doesn't even know. I swear to God, that was written like no one is ever going to know what the hell happened. People are going to love it. I'm sure he had some sequel plans, right? Because they made 32 of these before they remade it. So I'm sure that the studio was like, hey, this is a big hit. We're going to have a sequel. He's like, I've got the pitch. It's Earth. Yeah. But the apes have done everything we did. They even built a Lincoln Memorial, the exact same size and specs as ours. But they put an ape on the throne instead of Abe. on the throne.
Yes.
It's one of the most fucked up endings I've ever
fucked
seen.
Up. And in 2000, I was jacked to the tits for this fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Jacked to the
tits.
I'm jacked to the tits. At this point, Tim Burton hadn't done anything wrong. I even loved Sleepy Hollow, which I think came out before.
I like
this.
Sleepy Hollow.
Yep.
And Tim Burton, at the time, all right, you got some good people. Paul Giamatti's in this. Michael Clark Duncan is in this. It's a bunch of apes. I like the original. I don't remember being more disappointed in a movie walking out of the theater than that. I was like, that's too bad.
Yeah, this is a whole long roster of I can't believe they dragged this person into this movie. Like Paul Giamatti's in this, and oh my god, man! Yeah, it's not just the ending. I mean, it's everything leading up. They even steal parts of that Star Trek movie with the whole whatever they call the V'ger type thing that's in Star Trek, right? Because they have the ship that's named a certain thing that some of the letters are marked off or something, and they're like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And it becomes their god in Planet of the Apes, and then they find out, oh, that's the name of the ship. It's the Voyager or whatever the fuck they call it in Planet of the Apes. I can't remember what, but it's one of those where it's like not only are we derivative of the original movie, but we're derivative of Star Trek as well. And we put that fucking awful ending at the end and all that. So, oh my God. The whole reason for this podcast today, Wicker Man is on this worst list. The original, of course, is way better. The thing about this new one, which Neil LaBute directed, I'm not sure if he may have wrote the remake screenplay too. Nicolas Cage is always trying something, right? He knows when he's in some weird piece of shit, he's going to be weird too. But there are so many laugh out loud, unintentionally funny moments in this movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, beating that old woman, like punching that old woman.
He clocks the shit out of her.
Yeah. And just the whole unnecessariness of everything that's happening in the movie. There's nothing like, there's a missing child, and they just make him run around the island the whole time, when the whole point was just to burn him at the stake by the end of it. Burn him on the Wicker Man thing that they've built at the end. Somehow he can't find any evidence of this ritual anywhere on the island either. Like, I found that kind of weird. But
his performance is, I think, the worst part of this movie, and I know that it may be intentional, and I know it's been almost cult faved at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But he's bad. The whole reason the original works is because it's creepy. Is because the guy is supposed to be stoic, is because the island is supposed to be weird, not him.
Right.
And Cage is weird from the very beginning, isn't it? Where he's trying to save the girl and she gets hit by a train or something like that.
Yeah, and keeps seeing it everywhere. The most ridiculous one is when he's on the boat and he thinks he sees the girl like looking out over the water, and the train hits her there. The train runs over her on the boat. It's all he can think of. or is it the train, or it's a truck that hits her, I think. And it's something that just keeps running over her. And he's like, oh, isn't that a nice image? This girl's watching out the ocean or whatever.
God,
it's so
I can't
stupid.
even watch this for like I'll compare the ending to the ending of Knock Knock. Spoiler for Knock Knock.
Oh my God.
There's the ending of Knock Knock is where Keanu Reeves is buried up to his neck. I can't even talk about this without laughing.
So funny.
And he does this.
Never said more fuck in his life.
Like, oh my God, it's so great. I can watch that and just absolutely get my nut off. But like the Cage thing, I don't know, man. I can't do
You're
this.
getting
movie,
your nut
even
off at the
ironically.
absolute wrong time in Knock Knock. Let me just tell you that.
That's true. That's true.
Do
Usually,
you like
it's when
that? Do you like that when I suck your dick?
yes.
Or no, it's do you like that when she sucks your dick?
Usually it's when they destroy the wife's art piece when I come. So, Psycho remake.
Oh, Jesus.
This is an interesting thing for me. Okay. So why do we hate the remake of Psycho? Do we hate it because it's so stupid and unnecessary? Because it's shot for shot? Or do we hate it because the performances aren't nearly up to par? Or what is it that we all hate about that remake?
Okay, so it's all of it, but the biggest one for me is Vince Vaughn is no fucking Anthony Perkins.
Yeah.
Nowhere close. Mm-hmm. And that was a big miscast for me. He just doesn't exude that. Now, he does a little bit of badass stuff, I guess, in the Prison Break movie or the Concrete Dragging movie. And he does a little bit of menacing in Freaky, which I recently saw a few times and have thoughts about. But he is a comic actor, and when he goes dark, he can't do even what Kevin fucking James did in that Little Girl in the Woods movie.
Yeah.
Little Girl Good at Woods.
Little Girl Good at Woods? Is that what you said?
She is very good in the woods.
She is.
Anyway, Anthony Perkins, on the other hand, is seriously terrifying in very, very subtle ways in both the first two Psycho movies. That's the biggest problem for me. I think the other acting is all okay. But the shot-for-shot thing is a big problem, too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it loses too much in the acting category. I think, Anne Heche, I like Anne Heche a lot. I don't know if she's the perfect person to put in here. I mean, Janet Leigh, I don't know how big of an actor she was back in the 60s. I've always been told that she was one of the biggest. Like, that's why it was so crazy that she dies at the beginning of the film. But I don't know of any other Janet Leigh movies before this that I like that much. So I often wonder, what was she a big star for if that was the case? I feel like Anne Heche was probably more well-known than Janet Leigh was back in this day.
Yeah.
And Julianne Moore obviously is like top shelf actor to put in this. But I think the Vince Vaughn thing might be the one thing. And then just the pointlessness of a shot for shot. I think that's what most people hang up on. The question is, though, is it how I always wonder if it's shot for shot and we like the original, why do we hate this remake? So
it's missing the soul. It's missing the reason. It's
also
raison d'etre, right?
They put masturbating sounds. They put masturbating sounds over Vince Vaughn peeking through the thing.
That's right. Something that was subtle in the first film is no longer subtle. Because I think everybody watches that original Psycho and realizes that Norman Bates is probably masturbating, and it's the reason why his last name is Bates. I mean, that's probably the reason.
He is the master of his domain.
That's right. So, I mean, I would believe that Hitchcock would do something that cheeky back in the day to call somebody Bates for that reason. But in the remake, it's like, you hear the sounds of Vince Vaughn doing it, and it's like, oh, we didn't need that.
Yeah, it's gross. It's gross.
That's how masturbation sounds. Okay, we'll do a couple more. I'll pick another couple off of this here. I find it interesting that you have the girl with the dragon tattoo on your worst.
I do too.
I like the original better.
I do too.
But I think I like the Fincher one enough that I don't think it's bad necessarily.
I like it when. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I almost can see the gears turning in your head.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah. I watched this fairly recently again, and what bugs me most about this remake, it's not bad. And nothing David Fincher really does is really bad, except for Alien Cubed, and that's not his fault. The performances are fine, except for a great actor, Stellan Skarsgård, at the end of this movie goes so full villain that it's like a parody of an action movie.
He does.
Yeah.
And that ending to me completely derails the tone of this entire movie. It's so rote, and it's so, you can see Lisbeth coming from a mile away. You can see how this is going to happen. Like, I think the first 2/3 of this movie are, perfectly fine, not as good as the original. But I think the ending just completely derails it for me.
He's a dirty dog, that main character. Like, it's a
Main
weird
character.
James Bond.
Daniel Craig.
He's
Daniel
a dirty
Craig.
dog?
To Lisbeth, yes, because he sleeps with her and then discards her. And when she shows up at the end with that jacket that she's got for him and sees him back with Robin Wright walking away, that is more crushing than it should be for a movie I think is pretty good. If I thought, like, I would expect to be that crushed if the whole movie had been A+ great, but it was. I like it. I don't love it, but that ending just kills me, man. Like, they are in completely different places. It's so crushing to realize that she has these feelings for him. She's opening up, a person who never opens up. And I've already discarded you. I'm back with the rich white lady.
It feels like there's not texture to this one that there was in the first one, or in the original, I should say. There was a lot more. I don't know. Maybe it was because it was a Swedish story that was filmed in Stockholm and around Stockholm that had more of that. But it just didn't seem like it had the nooks and crannies and the texture. It seemed more Hollywoody, which is not something that you typically get from something like Fincher's work.
Yeah.
For the record, just for you guys, or if it ends up staying in, what I was going to say, I just realized that starting and then stopping a joke about this movie, there are at least 2 scenes in this movie that people might think I was going to joke about that I in no way was going to.
Which popped in my head, yes.
I was going to say I like when Lisbeth has sex with James Bond. That's what I was going to say. It was a horny joke, not a really, really wrong joke.
Right.
I just want you guys to know that.
I got you. I figured it was something like that.
Yeah.
You weren't going.
That's a good scene. That's a good scene.
It's a sexy scene.
Yeah.
And she takes charge. She's like, you know what? This shit's going to happen.
This is happening. Yeah.
Yep, indeed. I'm going to round this out with Ghostbusters. Where they made it an entire female cast, and a lot of people who are awesome normally are in a bad movie. Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, all these are
Bill Murray.
All of these are capable actors, are capable comic actors, and I haven't thought about this movie in a long time, but I think during the sending of it, I was like, where did they go wrong with this? Because there were so many funny people in this, and I think it's like Chris Hemsworth ends up stealing this movie. Maybe
he does. It's the story. It's the story. I love the believability between Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig being very good friends. I think Kate McKinnon is up there just a little bit under Hemsworth for stealing the movie. Leslie Jones is fine, but they dial up her Leslie Jones-edness to where it's distracting. And I think it was more about their individual acts than it was chemistry.
Yeah, it starts out so promising with Jared from Silicon Valley.
Yep.
Doing the
that
museum
opening is
tour.
so fucking good.
And
So
I was like,
funny.
here we go, baby. And then it's like they handed the script to a completely different writer for the rest of the film. They probably just let that actor riff a little bit. And he has like a shtick he does that just happens to really work in that particular scene. But yeah, disappointing. I'm actually kind of excited about the next one.
Me too.
I think the change of scenery and focusing on kids. I think the trailer looks good, and we've got a capable director. But yeah, it's just such a misstep. It's like the Father's Day of ghost hunting movies.
It really, if I were to write a review right now, it would be exactly that.
God,
what a random but apt movie to compare this to.
I still feel that disappointment from Father's Day, man.
Yeah.
To
Billy Crystal,
clarify-
Robin Williams, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus in one movie
know.
together, and
don't
it's
know.
not funny, like even
Right.
once. That's been on purpose. Like, you can't do that accidentally.
Yeah.
To clarify to anyone who has any questions, even though you probably do not if you've listened to this before, it is not a bad movie because of the all-female cast, the female
Right.
cast. It is
We
a
can
bad
say,
movie because it's a bad movie. Those
yeah, and-
actors are talented, as Chris said. They're funny. It's just a bad movie.
There's a thing they do in the original where they're all friends at the beginning, and they're all struggling, and how they've described that movie is it's what it's like creating a business for the first time. Finding their location, finding a car, finding a receptionist, finding, all these different things that they do in the movie. It's really just like about how to start a business. And it just so happens to be, we bust ghosts. That's our thing in this. They do some weird things with the effects in here. There's something about the effects in this movie that are just they're too sharp and pristine and modern for some reason. That doesn't work in this. There's no mythology to everything. Like they build this whole big, huge mythology in the first movie about, Gozer and all this. And in this one, it's just kind of like, well, there's a guy, I think it's a guy trying, if I remember this movie correctly, isn't it a guy trying to call ghosts back into the world? He's like exchanging his soul or some shit to get ghosts back, something to that nature. It's a guy that I've seen a million times and stuff since, who plays that sort of that bad guy in this. But yeah, there's nothing that it stands on, and it's hoping that Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy and Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones all generate something because they're so funny by themselves. And that whole thing where they record that ghost thing at the beginning and they put it on YouTube and she just looks crazy. And I'm like, did they not get any footage of the fucking ghost in this whole recording? She does look crazy, but like they didn't get any. We get it right at the point where she's like, "Oh my God, ghosts are real," is what she says, and you're like, is there anything in this video that you took where there was a ghost? Why is it like this? Why is it edited this way?
Yeah,
and it makes them look stupid right off the bat, and it's just something I just don't like about that thing. So anyway. Anything else that we need to say here?
Oh, we should come back to this topic maybe sometime.
I think so
later
too.
On.
Yeah,
there's
I agree.
plenty more in the well to draw from.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, well, that's going to do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. We're also on Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter, Discord, and SoundCloud. That's going to do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Scher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
The distributors are showing off the next 5 months of movies to the theaters and the media, but not to us. So like they showed a bunch of footage of Kristen Stewart playing Princess Diana, and I have to read about what that one journalist thought about the footage. They showed a whole trailer for Matrix 4, and
Oh.
a guy was like, "Here's what I saw," and I'm like, "Fuck you! I want to see the."
It sounds like, I don't know if what you described is exactly this, but that's reminds me of and this is NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners.
That other NATO.
The other NATO, yeah. That one time I went to go there and see, I saw a lot of these trailers and everything, and the Warner Brothers guy was really funny. He's probably old enough not to be doing those shows anymore, or is probably dead at this point. I'm sorry to say, but that guy was hilarious. Talking about how Lucky You was going up against Spider-Man. He's like, well, maybe we'll pull out ahead by the end of the weekend. I don't know. And then and we got a new Harry Potter coming out this summer. That little bastard makes us so much money.
They're bringing the whole band back. Not Fishburne, right? For Matrix. It's Carrie-Anne Moss and
yes,
Keanu.
my prediction is that Fishburne is in it because he's been cagey, whereas Agent Smith seems pissed, and he's not in it. So I don't know. I'm expecting to see Fishburne pop up. Probably, I've told you my theory. I don't want to ruin the movie for people, but I'm expecting him to pop up in there.
You excited?
Yeah, I actually am. I'm a homer, so it's like anytime the Orioles make the playoffs, I'm like, we got a chance.
Yeah, but also if they have trailer footage, it comes out in November, right?
It comes out in December, but that we haven't seen a single frame. They're the most egregious ones, because I guess they showed a bunch of new footage from Matt Reeves, the Batman, but I don't think that's due to come out until 2022.
Right, right.
So I understand not giving the trailer, that footage, to the viewing public, but they got to give us something for the. So hopefully it's soon.
Well, it's like I was looking through the release calendar to see what was coming out, today and next week. Of course, next week is Shang-Chi, but then the fucking Ghost Rider Cowboy, True Grit, the fucking Eastwood that I can never think of the name of.
Oh yeah, Adios Maria or something. I don't know.
Adios Maria.
something Die Macho or something.
Cry Macho.
Cry Macho. Yeah.
It's coming out next fucking week.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think it's wide.
Oh, wow.
And what, the trailer came out 3 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we saw New Mutants trailers 3 years in advance of the actual movie coming out. Of course, that was complicated, but still, Matrix is going to be, if you want to, my point is, when did the first Matrix come out?
99.
Well, I know, but when was the actual release date? Was it in the fall or was it
late
summer?
March?
April?
Late March, early
Yeah.
April. It was one of those where it came out, I believe, on a Wednesday, heading into the April weekend or something. Like it was March 30th Wednesday, and then it was like April 1st, April 2nd, somewhere.
But
around
the original
there.
trailer, or I think the first trailer that I saw was the Super Bowl ad, right?
It might have been.
Not for me, but yeah, that may have been. I mean, I saw it in the theater. I don't even remember what fucking movie I was there to see, but I was with Josh and we laughed our asses off at the trailer because it looked so bad. It looked so dumb because we didn't understand what the fuck was going on.
The bullet time did look pretty fucking amazing at the time.
I mean, yes, but in the context, because the trailer didn't explain any of the conceit,
right.
You think you're watching superheroes. You think you're watching. It looked like X versus Sever type stuff to me, even though that movie had yet to come out. It looked silly, but I didn't understand. It wasn't reality. It's presented in the trailer as reality.
Yeah,
I was like,
they were very vague about what the Matrix was in that. Is it's like the Matrix has you, and it's like, why is that supposed to make me watch your movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the visuals did well. The buzz seemed to be quite a bit, and that was 3-4 months ahead of time. Well, and I guess we're 3-4 months ahead of time now. But it just seems like if you really want to, did Matrix 1 do well at the box office?
Mm-hmm, very much.
Yeah.
It killed at the box office.
It was huge.
Yeah, it was not.
Was
I don't know that it was expected to, but it killed it. Yeah,
it wasn't expected because of the things that you were mentioning about your reticence to watch it. But there were enough cool things about it that people went to go see it. It crushed, I think, the entire month of April. By the way, it did come out March 31st.
Nice, good memory.
Yeah.
It crushed April, and then of course Star Wars Phantom Menace came out after that. But it still did okay.
It had great word of mouth.
Yeah, it still did okay after that, but it was
that movie and The Sixth Sense were both unexpected blockbusters. Did you see that Will Smith video making the rounds of him explaining why he turned down Neo in The Matrix?
No.
It's really funny.
I think I read about it.
I'll find it after and send you guys the link. But he's like, okay, I did turn it down. But at the time, I didn't know who the Wachowskis were. They'd done a movie called Bound. Turns out they're geniuses. I didn't know that. There's a fine line between genius and insanity. So here's how they pitched this movie to me. And then he does voices and there's little animations. But he's like, okay, imagine like if you could jump, but then mid-jump, you could like freeze.
Stuff that sounds awesome to Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. And then
Keanu Reeves is like, yeah.
We have so many cameras, the audience can spin around you. And like at the end of his impression of their pitch, he looks at the camera with like a, come on, the fuck would you do? Of course I turned it down. It was ridiculous. Anyway, it's a very funny video. I'll have to send it to you.
Well,
I think I saw that.
Yeah, that is funny, but that's also it goes a long way to it goes a long way to back up the claims that he was very conscious about his image.
Sure,
and he wasn't willing to take chances.
Right.
I love these retro explanations, and everybody's like, yeah, totally, that's so weird. And then you realize, yeah, I can see you not taking it because of that, but also you weren't taking stuff because you wanted to have this image of you being at that time, you were the guy who wanted to be the summer blockbuster guy. You did Independence Day, did Men in Black, and then you took something. Yeah, you took something that you thought was super safe in Wild Wild West, and that movie tanked.
Oh, that's the tag of that video, isn't it, Jeremy?
Yeah. Yeah,
where he's
that's
like,
what he did
so I denied it, and I took Wild Wild West, and then it goes into the theme song to Wild Wild West.
Yeah. I keep hearing stuff like this, and you always have to think about it in the other way too. And I'm glad he did that. I'm glad that, obviously, yeah. It didn't sell him correctly. That's totally true. But that's why you never saw Will Smith in something like really challenging a lot of times.
Well, this is a story about Django too, right? That he was at least approached and turned it down, and it was. I think in hindsight today, given the kind of projects he's doing, seems like he wants to get an Oscar, and I don't blame him. But in hindsight, he might do Django if it came across today, or maybe a future Tarantino movie. We'll figure out a way to work together.
Yeah.
Did he do? He got nominated for Ali, right?
I think so. He's great in that movie.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah,
that movie is not as good as he is in it, but he's outstanding in that movie.
Or actually, weirdly, John Voight is terrific in that fucking movie.
He is.
Well, John Voight is usually terrific in movies. Yep. It's just
he's great.
He's kind of a dick outside.
He's just a great penis.
He's just a huge penis. It's like a less uglier story of like Miley wanting to meet with Radiohead, or Kesha trying to shake Jerry Seinfeld's hand while he's being interviewed and being turned down and stuff like that. Becomes big, huge news when celebrity didn't know who that celebrity was or didn't want to talk to that celebrity. So,
hold on, Miley wanted to meet Radiohead. I don't think I heard that.
Yeah, it was some story a few years ago where she wanted to meet them and they never met with her, and I don't know if she complained about it. She just said they never will meet with me or something like that. And then of course it became a huge story. But the Kesha thing, you've probably seen that clip of her trying to go up and shake his hand. He's like, no, sorry, thank you.
It was Seinfeld. Yeah.
And they were like, you know who that is? And he's like, no. He's like, it's Kesha. Oh well, I wish her well. He just didn't want to shake some stranger's hand.
I don't blame him.
I love me some Kesha, man. I got when I sent Aaron that list of albums to get caught up on over the last few years for pop music. Rainbow was her like comeback record. Remember that that album that had the praying song on it?
Yeah. I've got it.
That's such a good record, man. I went back and listened to a lot of that stuff, and she's completely rebooted her career without Dr. Luke and is thriving. She's probably making more money just off of touring and doing her thing than she ever did before, because I think she was the contract had her over a barrel, and God bless her.
That's the story about her and Dr. Luke before she made it, was that she had two demos. One was the kind of songs that she's playing now. And then one was what she ended up doing, like Flow Rida and all this other stuff, and then all the music that really made her famous. And he ended up picking that one, and she had this other side of her that she wanted to express, and that always got knocked down and everything over it. And then there's the other ugly stuff after that.
Yeah, and I think there's a line on the TikTok song where she's like, "Got no money in my pocket, but I'm already here," meaning that she had sang the hook on the Right Round song with Flo Rida, but I don't think she got paid anything for that. Like I think she got totally screwed out of that whole thing. And then she released what was it, Animal?
Starbucks nearest me keeps telling me they don't have anything. Like Starbucks has this like guava lemonade tea. Yeah. I would love to try that, but they keep telling me, "Oh, we don't have any guava. Well, we don't have any lemonade." But I thought maybe you had somehow gotten a guava tea, but no, you put your own shit in the Starbucks.
I finished my coffee this morning, and the Starbucks yesterday was out of everything. I tried to get cake pops as a little treat for my son on the way to school.
Nice.
They were like, "We have 2 cake pops left. One is in the shape of a fox." And I was like, "That's cool."
That's pandemic stuff, isn't it? That's pandemic related, right? The supply chain and everything.
Yeah, Taco Bell's got a similar problem.
Taco Bell's menu can eat my dick whole.
Yeah. Ooh, eat your dick whole.
Yes, crawl right up in there. And
I tried those nacho fries for the first time the other day.
I haven't done that. What do you?
They're not. That's not. Don't worry about it. They give you the cheese dip that comes with their regular nachos, right?
I like that dip. I like the dip.
I do too. And then, it's a thick, kind of chewy fry, and the seasoning has no flavor. Didn't taste like nacho to me at all.
Yeah, they got plenty of that shit, but they can't make a fucking Mexi Melt anymore.
Well, and plus they only bring that shit back, every, once a year or something. It's like
thank God they kept the cheesy gordita crunch. That's the only thing that gets me hard. You know who has shitty breakfast? Because there's a Wendy's right across from my son's new school. Wendy's.
I've heard their breakfast is awesome.
Their breakfast, maybe it's just this one. They've got an ornery old lady.
Wendy's is hit or miss.
It's either the best people in the world or the worst people you've ever met.
I have heard they have a sausage patty baconator for a breakfast sandwich. That has,
I haven't done that because I'm not.
Now listen,
that's a lot of pork, man.
I'm trying to cut back on my cholesterol. I've only had bacon one time in 4 weeks, but it still sounds like a tasty sandwich. I just don't have a Wendy's anywhere close to me, so I haven't had any.
Oh,
other
you're out
breakfast
of
foods.
Wendy's territory. You used to have the best Wendy's almost
I know.
in the universe next to you.
I know. That Wendy's, and believe it or not, the Wendy's, now this was 2005, but the Wendy's on Gallatin Pike in East Nashville, Inglewood, basically,
I've been to that one.
was outstanding. The
Yep.
manager of that Wendy's was incredible. I ate there. I lived down the road from there in 99 to 2000. But then I also worked at that Kroger for about 6 months, and I ate at that
Oh, was
Wendy's
that the
a bunch.
Kroger?
No, that was I trained at like 6 different Krogers, and then the one I was placed at was in Cool Springs. So I had to
you
drive
all the way down there.
I had to drive from Sumner County to Cool Springs every morning at like 7
Damn.
a.m.
Damn.
Sucky.
That's like leaving at 5:30, 5:45.
It is, but that was a cushy ass placement because there are a bunch of landmine Krogers all throughout Nashville that I could have been placed in.
Hell
that
yeah.
would have been, but Cool fucking Springs, come on. The biggest trouble I ever had there was like 16-year-olds trying to buy beer at 9 o'clock at night. It was like, it was Kroger Deluxe.
Yeah.
That's a good Kroger.
When I was managing that theater, that was all cow pastures.
What is the Back to the Future quote back from Twin Pines Mall?
What, you mean Doc Brown?
Yeah.
Where he's like, things have certainly changed around here.
I tell you what, Christopher Lloyd looks
Yeah.
great these days.
Does he?
Have
I
you
haven't
seen
seen
him recently?
No, he doesn't stop by
Really?
much anymore.
I don't know. And Nobody, that may be some makeup and stuff, but he looks pretty rough in that.
I think they,
that's
I
where
think
saw
they
him.
roughed him up a little bit. Like he and Dick Van Dyke still look like
And Dick Van Dyke's nearly 100.
Yeah, he's super. old.
they look like they have for the last 35 years, both of them. Christopher
Yeah.
Lloyd has looked 65 for the last like 45 years.
I was reading also that Olivia Rodrigo is giving Paramore writing credit for "Good for You," which is funny
Listened to
because
Misery Business earlier today to compare.
when I first heard "Good for You," I was like, "Oh, this is the new Paramore." It sounds a lot like their earlier stuff, and then you find out it's Olivia Rodrigo, and
yeah, I didn't
I was
know
like,
that.
"Damn."
So they settled something out of court, you think?
Yeah, they did. It was on Twitter a second ago. I don't know if it's on.
That's
there
crazy.
now.
I only found out the other day that that country trio had to pay Eye in the Sky. Was that Alan Parsons Project?
Alan Parsons Project, yeah.
Because I Just Need You Now. I Need You Now. That's, what is that, Lady Antebellum?
Or Lady A now, yeah.
Lady A, sorry.
Yeah, because which they changed it to Lady A, and there was already an artist named Lady A, and there was a whole bunch of
and they had to pay her something.
bullshit
I
over
think.
that too.
Anyway, they paid like $500,000 to those guys after that song came out because it's so fucking similar. I bet this happens a lot, and we only hear about.
It's already
a few of them.
happened twice to Olivia Rodrigo. I think maybe 3 times. She had to
That's
give
not good.
Taylor Swift.
That's what it
and
says
Jack
here on this
Antonoff.
variety thing.
Wow.
Oh, is that on the same thing for Deja Vu?
It says,
because it
it just says this marks the third time Rodrigo has made such a revision for songs from her blockbuster debut album Sour. She had previously added Taylor Swift and co-writers to the credits of her songs Deja Vu and One Step Forward, Three Steps Back.
Yeah.
So that cannot be, just as an aside, that cannot be the only amends being made.
Oh,
right?
hell no.
Like, now I do think by adding them as co-writers, they then start getting royalties, and that is maybe the financial restitution. My guess is there's also an envelope of cash being passed under the table.
I would say so. Briefcase. Somebody puts a similar briefcase next to another briefcase.
I want to. You know what? That would be a really funny Improv Everywhere sketch to have 2 guys show up in like a train station or something and just be very obvious about switching briefcases and see what people do.
Just like picking it up and like purposefully moving it over to the other guy's lap, and then
I think that'd be funny.